Welcome, gamers, to this Legend of Zelda Link to the Past randomizer race between Leisure King and Cinder. This is a match that previously happened as part of the Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament 2024. My name is DDR Kirby, and I am continuing to try and bring you some of these matches that have been happening in the bracket stages of this tournament. This is going to be a Game 1 match. This is going to be Game 1 of a best-of-3 series between these two runners in Round 1 of the Tempered Sword bracket. Of course, the Tempered Sword bracket is the second highest bracket of 16 runners each in this tournament. So after 6 weeks of Swiss pairings, the runners were split into brackets of 16 players each. I believe Leisure King went 4-2 in the Swiss rounds, and looks like Cinder was 3-3. So Leisure King, unfortunately, missing the cutoff for Gold Sword bracket, and Cinder, based on tiebreakers, did make it into the Tempered Sword bracket with Leisure King. So Leisure King is coming in as the second seed in the Tempered Sword bracket, and Cinder coming in at seed number 15. We're going to get started, and let me try and sync up these streams for you real quick. Alright, there we go. And the game mode for today is going to be Casual Boots, so both of our runners will be starting with a sword as well as the boots, and it looks like a hook shot in Link's house. That is definitely very interesting, not an item that you see every day. Right, so both our runners synced up for the beginning of this escape sequence. You want to see really clean dash lines here. Leisure King already electing to use the hookshot a little bit. We'll see if they end up making any more use of that. Of course, the hookshot is going to be a little bit slower than the boots for extended straight line movement, but it is going to be a little bit faster than cardinal direction walking. So we'll see if there are any opportunities for the runners to make use of that. We'll see if either of the runners also elects to use the hookshot to stun any of these enemies in the way. Of course, hookshot really useful for stunning enemies, as both the hookshot and boomerang can stun enemies, and that way you don't have to slash them in order to defeat them, and you can walk straight by them, as when the enemies are stunned, they will not have any hitbox to knock you out of the way. It looks like Leisure King is off to about a 1-room advantage in this escape sequence. We'll see if that continues with their execution. Alright, and it looks like a very nice double spin strat on this first guard here. Cinder is going to do the exact same thing, and it looks like we have a magic cape early. That is a spicy item, as that is going to allow us to gain access to Aghanim's tower. Oh, some very nice use of the hookshot there by both runners. So Magic Cape does let us get past the magical barrier that blocks the way into Aghanim's tower. Now, of course, that is still going to be out of logic unless we have a lamp to guide our way through all of that, so probably not the most immediate concern for our runners here, but definitely something that potentially points in that direction for Dark World access this seed. Right, Leisure King continuing to have a little bit of a speed advantage here in the escape sequence. They are now going into the fight with the Ball and Chain Guard here. The fastest way to take care of this enemy, this Ball and Chain Guard, is going to be with 8 slashes, but looks like Leisure King is electing for a hybrid strat. Oh, very nice use of the hookshot to stun the Ball and Chain Guard, actually. Cinder instead going to go for the vanilla 8 slashes, and looks like they are not going to have much trouble with that, so props to Cinder for executing that correctly. And we get a glove in the chest next to Zelda. So normally in an open mode start, the glove will let you do the back of escape really easily, but of course, since this is Casual Boots, we will be doing the back of escape along the way anyways, so that's not too much of a concern. I will say, now that we have the cape and glove and hookshot, these are kind of 3 items that all point us potentially towards this being Aghanim required for Dark World access. And the reason I say so is because with the glove, if you get to the Dark World from the pyramid, you can lift a rock and then proceed upwards and hookshot over the river to gain access to like the Graveyard Ledge area, and that'll give you access to go over to the west side of the Dark World, including Village of Outcasts, Thieves Town, and you can actually make your way eventually all the way over to Hype Cave, so that is quite a lot of good Dark World access. And the only two items that we're missing to kind of make that possible are our Moon Pearl, of course, and the Lamp. So we're just 2 items away kind of from that scenario. But of course, if our runners get another glove or the hammer, then that is probably not going to be an issue for them. So, well, remains to be seen whether that will come into play. Alright, we have Leisure King in Darkcross now, and looks like they're going to set up for a key dash. Aborted that one just because they were not quite lined up the door. But they are continuing to accumulate a little bit of a speed advantage over here in the escape sequence. Cinder stumbling just a little bit, finding that chest, and doesn't go for the key dash lineup, and you can see that without the proper lineup, if you try to dash through the door, you end up bonking on it, so that'll definitely slow you down a little bit. Alright, Leisure King is going to be the first to show us these 3 chests in the back of escape. And looks like we have that lamp already, so we are just 1 item away, the Moon Pearl away from that situation that I described earlier. We'll see if either of these runners, depending on where the Moon Pearl is, elects to, kind of rush to to clear Aghanim early, kind of following the breadcrumbs of the seed, or whether they choose to play it more conservatively and look for a possible, hammer or mitts. Right, so Leisure King going to finish the escape sequence with a low 520s escape time. Cinder is going to be taking a little bit longer here. And that is all the items out of Hyrule Castle, so our runner is not going to have to come back here. Now, with the glove, lamp, and hookshot, our runners actually have the option of going straight up to Death Mountain here. There is quite a lot of density available there. Of course, we can go up the mountain and rescue the old man, as well as hookshot over to the right side where there are 7 items in Paradox Cave. Right, Cinder giving our first map check, and it looks like Eastern Palace is going to be a pendant dungeon, so Eastern Palace not necessarily going to be required this seed, but the other 2 Light World dungeons are going to be required because you need all 7 crystals in order to gain entry to Ganon's Tower and to defeat Ganon. Right, Leisure King going to check Lumberjack Cave. I fully expect both runners to go ahead and do this check just because Aghanim is actually already in logic, so you could actually go ahead and, already collect this item on Lumberjack Cave if you so desire. But Cinder actually proving me wrong and choosing to skip that check. Very interesting. Of course, it is going to save them a little bit of time, and it is true that you can definitely check that later on, probably on your way to the mountain. So that's potentially what they might be thinking of doing, just planning on doing that check, planning on picking on that item, but maybe just a little bit later. Just a single arrow at the mushroom spot in Lost Woods, so neither of our runners can be taking that. But both of our runners are going to have 6 bombs and enough money for all of the checks in Kakariko Village. Alright, some more usage of the hookshot by Leisure King. Very nice. And of course, hookshot, very nice for killing these bird enemies as well. Right, Cinder gonna go ahead and use the Tier 2 tree pull, I believe that's Tier 2, to find just some more bombs so they get fully stocked up. That is gonna take them a little bit more time, so they're gonna be running a little bit behind into Kakariko Village, but no big deal, there's still plenty of seed to be played here. We've got the Ice Rod in Blind's Hut. Definitely an item that you are usually happy to see early, unless, of course, Turtle Rock ends up being a pendant, and then you're kind of like, oh, well, the one seed that I find the Ice Rod early, I didn't actually need it to finish the game. But we'll see whether that happens or not. So from here, after our runners are done with Kakariko, as I said, there is an interesting option available in terms of going up the mountain and getting all those checks there. That would certainly be the most dense play in terms of items, but our runners could definitely elect to just continue on with the normal kind of more common South Shore checks. I will say there are reasons to put off both of these. Saltior, you might want to be thinking about doing a water wall glitch from Ice Rod Cave to the Zora area, and of course neither of our runners are going to have enough money as it stands to pay Zora those 500 rupees to check that item. But the problem with going up the mountain is that without a hammer, we don't have access to Tower of Hera, and if we do end up finding the hammer later on, of course, it's going to feel bad if we have to retread that whole path up the mountain in order to get over to Hera. So we'll see what choice these runners decide to take. There's definitely arguments for both sides. Oh, but that is Book of Eudora that we see here, which means we have a guaranteed full clearable desert palace. So that is probably, I imagine, going to be the first priority here. No real reason to put that off as far as I can see. Of course, getting to Desert Palace is going to be slightly faster if you have like a food on hand, but I don't think our runners are going to wait for that. I guess the one awkward thing about Desert Palace is that our runners are not going to have great weaponry for taking down the boss, Lamnolus. They do have an Ice Rod, but not that much magic right now. And Leisure King finds the Moon Pearl on Library Ledge, so both our runners are going to have access to that Moon Pearl, and this is definitely an interesting situation because, like I said, if you beat Aga here, you have a lot of good Dark World access, but you also have a ton of Light World checks still available to you, so when do you pull a trigger on sniffing out that this is a potential Aga required seed for Dark World access and go beat Aga? Okay, Leisure King gonna go ahead and check this shovel dig spot, and it is the Cane of Samaria. Okay, we got some really late game items here for the Cane of Samaria and Ice Rod. We'll see if those end up being relevant later on, but looks like Cinder gonna go ahead and blind check the item on Race Game, I believe. I don't think it was anything important. I think Leisure King, yeah, did elect to skip this. I don't quite remember what it was. Maybe it's rupees? Alright, so Leisure King go to saving quick to Link's house and giving us a check of the dam. Oh, it looks like a bottle with a bee, actually. Okay, that could actually be relevant as that opens up another check in Kakariko. So Sinner opting to be a little bit more conservative here. Leisure King risking leaving that check behind on Sick Kid. Of course, it is going to take time for Sinner to kind of dash all the way back here. So we'll see if this ends up paying out. If this is something like the hammer, that'll be huge, but probably is not. Let's see what it is. It is just a red rupee. Alright, so is Leisure King gonna be able to save some time there for now, although I imagine they're probably gonna go back to that check later on, eventually. Maybe not necessarily for that particular bottle, but probably for another bottle. Leisure King did go ahead and check the items in the dam, tried to use the hook shot to get both of those items in one go, but unfortunately just missed the timing for that. We'll see if Cinder manages to perform that glitch successfully. We're gonna get our items in Midi Molorn Cave on Leisure King's side now. Both runners electing to save and quit from the shovel dig spot. I wonder if that is actually faster. You do have your gloves, so you can lift the boulder between the shovel dig spot and the dam. I wonder if that would be a faster path, but I admittedly haven't timed it myself, so can't say for sure. Alright, looks like we have a red boomerang in Midi Molorn Cave, so no progression there, but just another nice item to have. Alright, and Cinder also going to do probably the same route. Actually, that's not necessarily true, because Cinder could just go left from here. Ooh, and Cinder also just missing the hookshot clip over there. Elects to just exit instead. Both runners kind of missing the same trick in the same way, unfortunately. But Cinder could actually go left here and go to their full clearable Desert Palace. Let's see what they decide to do. Looks like Leisure King is actually gonna elect to set up a water walk here. So they're gonna be able to use this water walk to, we'll see if they end up going to Hobo, but they're at least gonna be able to check the two items on the inside waterfall cave. Unfortunately, they are not gonna have enough money, probably, to check the item on Zora. Alright, Cinder's gonna go ahead and pick up those 50 rupees, and Cinder... I thought they were gonna go left to Desert Palace, but it looks like both runners electing to stay away from Desert for now. I wonder if this is just not wanting to tackle Lanmo with their current equipment, because that's a full clearable dungeon, right? This could also be a matter of wanting to prioritize density. You know, there are a lot of items here in Mini Moldham Cave. You could get something good that would guide you away. You know, there's a potential comboing desert with some other checks if you get a lot of stuff. Right, Leisure King, not finding anything with the flipper checks. We'll see if Cinder decides to do those as well. Or if they decide to prioritize other things, or just want to be a little bit more conservative about orphaning the Zora check. Right, Leisure King, looks like they are now going to go ahead and go to Desert Palace. I mean, I guess this makes sense. You can do all of your normal South Shore checks, and then do another save and quit to Desert. There's arguments for both orderings here. I think if you do Desert Palace first, you have a better shot of having money for the Zora check once you get there, if you do decide to do the fake flipper. But if you go do Mini Moldham Cave first, of course you could find something like the flute to make travel to Desert Palace a little bit faster, so definitely pros and cons of each decision, as there often are in Randomizer. Right, let's see if Cinder decides to bail on those flipper checks. No, looks like they are, so they are going to be able to put those off for now. And they are starting at Link's house, so I imagine they are going to follow Leisure King and go to the full clearable Desert Palace. They're going to gain a little bit of time here, having skipped those flipper checks for now. And if something's important on Zora, Cinder is probably going to be the most likely of the two runners to find that item, as Leisure King kind of has that isolated now, so we'll see if that ends up being an issue. I guess as it stands, I imagine both our runners definitely going to check, finish out Desert Palace. I imagine you kind of want to do everything on the mountain as well. There's just so many chances there to find your another glove or a hammer, which would make Aga totally unnecessary. I imagine Cinder also wants to go up the mountain because they have not checked Lumberjack Cave yet, and they'll probably want to do that on the way. So the real question is whether our runners will want to commit to Aga after the mountain, or whether they will elect to, check the items in Saha's closet or Pendant Eastern. Pendant Eastern in particular is kind of a sticking point, because the items in Saha's closet are not really that slow to get, but Pendant Eastern is a dungeon that you don't necessarily need to touch at all. So you could just say, okay, this is really looking like a seed where Aghanim is required, let's just go ahead and do it. Or you could say, well, if my hammer, or something is in the Eastern Palace, that is really going to save me a lot of time here. But so far, both our runners, besides the one difference of the fake flipper that was done by Leisure King, pretty much in the same place. Oh, Leisure King tried to set up a key dash there, but unfortunately something went a little bit wrong there. Okay, very nice dash lines and strats for that room in Leisure King's on Leisure King's side. Ooh, but some nice use of the hook shot by Cinder. Always nice to see these mentees, picking up these little room strats here and there. Alright, so both Leisure King and Cinder are at full magic, and they are going to be able to use the Ice Rod here on the Lanmo boss. Each Lanmo is going to take 2 Ice Rod shots. Now the Ice Rod can be a little bit more awkward to use than the Fire Rod because the projectiles do travel more slowly. Let's see how Leisure King does. Okay, nice. Takes the first one down. Second one is a little bit close. But Leisure King not spamming their shots, electing to play it a little bit more conservatively. I like this. If you miss all of your shots here, it's going to take a lot longer to take the boss down with your fighter sword, and Leisure King finishes the fight with just enough magic to... So that was kind of perfectly calculated. Right, Cinder getting the dash turn, and does get that key dash. Very nice. And Leisure King takes their first crystal of the game at 1826. Alright, I imagine we're going to get a check of Aegina here. It's kind of the perfect time to check this location. You know, often it's a very awkward location to check since it's out of the way, unless you can specifically do Desert Palace. So this is kind of the perfect chance to check Aegina. Alright, let's see how Cinder does on their Lambo fight. Just a piece of heart at Aegina. So is Leisure King gonna head up the mountain now? Looks like they're thinking about it. They do like to start at Link's house. Is this a play to rush Aga? No, it's checking Saha first. Okay. Alright, Cinder misses one shot there, but should still have enough if they play this carefully. Okay, needs one more hit, one more Ice Rod hit on this last Lanmo. Very nice. So good job on that fight by both runners. Alright, so Leisure King checking Saha's closet. I wonder if this is, you know, guarding against the possibility of a hammer lying here before going up the mountain. Right, and they find the Fire Rod. Okay, cool. And they're actually going to continue on into Pendant Eastern, looks like. So Leisure King electing to be a little bit more thorough here, not wanting to rush, you know, into the Dark World, even though they do have access if they do Aga. But of course, you know, Aga's tower does take a handful of minutes to complete. So if you can avoid it, it's definitely a good idea. You can see that Leisure King did, you know, we do have Leisure King's tracker open on the screen there, and you saw the Dark World squares light up for a second there. So that that was Leisure King, you know, clicking the Aga square done, just to see, you know, how much Dark World access they have if they were to go ahead and defeat Aga here. And, you know, I don't know if you caught it, but there is quite a lot of Dark World access. So interesting, Cinder gonna elect to do the same thing here. We'll see if they also dive into Pendant Eastern, or if they decide to just stop after Saha. Some nice cape strats by Leisure King. Cape, definitely my favorite item in the game. There's a lot of hidden tech that is lesser known with the cape. I do have a whole hour-long video of some intricate strats involving the Magic Cape. Cinder electing to talk to Saha to get the knowledge that the green pendant is on Ice Palace. That's kind of interesting. And Cinder going to elect to not go into Pendant Eastern, so this is a major point of divergence between these two runners. So if there's nothing here in Eastern, Cinder is going to be able to make up that time that they were behind. But if there is something here, like the hammer, that could be really good for Leisure King, who decided to stick it out here. Alright, Leisure King, pretty okay Stalfos room. Unfortunately, has the third one spawn because they picked up that pot, but not bad. And Cinder going to go ahead and head up the mountain now, as well as check Lumberjack Cave. Or not checking Lumberjack? Oh, okay, this is a triple, okay. Money is actually still relevant here, as Zora is in Logic. So if they can farm up another triple here, they will have enough money for Zora, actually, so... Alright, Cinder confirming that Aga is not required for the item on Lumberjack. But is Aga our Dark World access? Right, Leisure King is getting to their last possible check here in Eastern Palace. This has a 50% chance of being the last item. Oh, the big key. Okay, we didn't have the big key yet. Alright, so the big chest has a 50% chance of being the last item. Otherwise, it will be on Armos Knights. Cinder did go ahead and farm up those remaining rupees. This to me tells them that they are planning on doing the Water Walk or Fake Flipper to Zora at some point, probably before committing to Aga. Alright, Leisure King just found a compass in the big chest of Eastern Palace, so they're going to be leaving one item behind that they can't get on Armos Knights. So that Eastern Palace dip not paying out for Leisure King, unfortunately, and they are now going to be behind going up the mountain. Of course, they have already checked some of the water checks, so Leisure Cinder has not done those on their side, but neither runner has done Zora yet. Alright, a little bit unfortunate for Cinder to see that Old Man had 100 rupees, kind of negate some of the work that Cinder did to farm all those rupees with Tree Pull, but of course you don't really know that ahead of time. Alright, Cinder using a nice hook speed glitch to travel faster along this Death Mountain traversal. Alright, and just 20 rupees over there in Spec Rock Cave. Alright, Leisure King also going to do the hook speed here. Very nice. And Leisure King actually going to make use of this other technique. If you hold a bomb while climbing up the stairs while in hook speed state, you will actually climb faster. I have no reason why the game does that, but it just works, so a lot of runners will do that to make climbing up those long set of stairs faster. Right, but Cinder is still going to be the first one into these Paradox Cave checks. There are 7 chests here, and here's all the money that Cinder could have just found here instead of farming those tree poles. It's a little bit unfortunate, but both of our runners will definitely not need any more money for the rest of the game. We've got plenty in their pockets. Alright, are we going to find the hammer here or another glove? Or is this looking like more and more like an Agaseed? Okay, nothing in Paradox Cave other than a bunch of rupees. So they're going to be setting up for a bomb jump here to get to the top of the mountain a little bit more quickly. Very nice. So there's only one more check that we can get up on the mountain here, and that is Spiral Cave. This last mini Molder evading Leisure King's attempts for a good while. Alright, and the item on Floating Island is just a heart container. Of course, our runners cannot traverse across that bridge because they are lacking the hammer, so no access to Hera. Thankfully, because we have the boots, Spiral Cave is not going to take forever. Always nice to have the boots in this specific location. Alright, let's see if Spiral Cave has anything. Just a piece of heart. So for Cinder, they've got... they still haven't done the flipper check, so I imagine if they went through the effort farming those rupees, they are probably going to be thinking about that. Or are they just going to pull the trigger on Aga? Let's see. They are... Okay, they're not going to do Aga. So could this be... this looks like a splash delete. Okay, so since Cinder doesn't have the actual flippers, they're going to need to, overload the game's slots with enough magic, with enough items that the splash upon entering the water will not spawn correctly. So this is possible to do if you use the Cane of Samaria and 2 bombs. I believe you need to explode the Cane of Samaria block, so Cinder is taking extra care to set this up carefully. In the meantime, Leisure King is going to make the call to go to Aga, which I think makes a lot of sense for them. They have already checked Pendant Eastern. Their only check left in Logic is going to be, the item on Zora. Alright, Cinder having a little bit of trouble. Yeah, need to explode the Samarian block, but does get it there. Very nice. This is going to let them go and fake flipper to Hobo, it looks like, as well as the Waterfall Cave and Zora's Domain. Now, the Hobo check is going to be out of Logic here. It's like it's just 10 arrows, alright, so Cinder still has Zora for a potential, to get out of doing Aga. But if this doesn't pay off, then Leisure King will be definitely the first one into the Dark World by a fair margin. Cinder has to be a little bit careful. Okay, dodges that fireball safely. Unfortunately, when you're in the fake flipper state, one single hit will pretty much spell doom for you, as you'll be forced into a soft lock situation. You'll have to save and quit. Alright, Leisure King making some nice use of their equipment there. You know, normally in the vanilla speedrun of this game, you do have the Master Sword coming in here. So a lot of these enemies are designed to, you know, kind of be fought using that Master Sword, but we only have Fighter Sword here. But making use of the Fire Rod to take care of these enemies a little bit faster. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get a Water Walk state from Waterfall Cave, since they have a Moon Pearl. Let's see if Zora has anything for us today. Alright, so we're going to take the... Oh, okay. So needs to be a little careful. If you actually just continue along that line, dashing along that slope, you will get all the way to Zora safely, but it looks like Cinder is a little bit nervous about it, so chose to abort their dash and be a little bit extra cautious. But it's just a piece of heart at Zora, so Cinder is definitely going to be a little bit behind now. Are they going to make the call to do Aga? We know it's required. Okay, this is good. Staying out of Patent Eastern. Not everyone would make this call, you know, there are still potentially 2 or 3 items available in Eastern Palace, and if one of them, you know, is the glove or the hammer, you just saved yourself, you know, some time having to do the entire Aga, you know, Castle Tower climb. But of course, we know from seeing that on Leisure King's side that is not the case, so... Alright, Leisure King is continuing with this fight of Aghanim. Probably the easiest boss fight in the game, as all you have to do is, you know, do the same thing every time and just reflect his projectiles back at him. The projectiles do have a random chance, or not all of them, but a lot of them have a random 50% chance of being the ones that you can reflect to him, or the kind of blue balls that do split apart and kind of just waste time on the fight. But this is normalized for the seed in question, so both of our runners will be getting the same pattern on Aga. That makes it so that, you know, this fight is going to take the same amount of time for both runners. There's no sort of like RNG element there. Alright, so Leisure King is going to take down Aga and is going to be the first one into the Dark World. Now the primary access to West Dark World here is going to be by going north and hookshotting across. Okay, looks like we have pendants at Misery Mire and Ice Palace. Of course, we already knew that Ice Palace from Cinder talking to Saha. So that Ice Rod actually going to be relevant in today's seed, as Turtle Rock is required. So the Ice Rod, Fire Rod, and King Samaria are all going to be relevant, and the hammer is on Pyramid Ledge. How about that? So right off the bat, if only we could have had that before fighting Aga, we would have been able to avoid the whole thing, but... Right, Cinder is going to get slowed down by this room a little bit. Looks like Leisure King was able to have a little bit more magic than Cinder going into that room. But Leisure King going to take that hammer and able to avoid that kind of circuitous route that I was describing with, you know, navigating upwards and then hookshotting across the river, and instead going to just be able to hammer through the pegs on the bridge and go straight to Hype Cave, which makes a lot of sense. And it's the Titansmiths, alright. Wow. So our runners got funneled into having to do Aga, and it's the bow in Hype Cave. What is this seed? I guess Leisure King has a full clearable pod now? I mean, they've got a lot of stuff to do, actually. They've got all of Dark World Death Mountain, and as soon as they're just missing a medallion to get into full clear Turtle Rock, actually. That's pretty crazy. If I was in these runners' shoes, I'd be putting a bookmark on on Turtle Rock as soon as I have one or more medallions to go up the mountain with. We've got a full clearable Palace of Darkness and Skull Woods and Thieves Town, so 3 full clearable crystals here. We could also, in theory, sequence break into Ice Palace, although that is out of logic since we don't have the flippers, and it's also a pendant dungeon, so probably not a priority right now for these runners. But yeah, starting with Palace of Darkness kind of makes a lot of sense. Unlike the other dungeons, you know, Skull Woods and Thieves Town, Palace of Darkness is kind of off in its own little corner of the world, so you can't really combo it with anything else. You know, if you think about Thieves Town and Village of Outcast, a natural thing to pair that with is by doing Smith Chain after that, but of course, Smith Chain is going to take a lot longer if you don't have the mirror, as you're going to have to do some extra same quests. Whereas Palace of Darkness, it's just, you can't do it with anything else except for Eastern Palace, and of course, Leisure King has already been into Eastern Palace, so that's not really relevant. Plus, Eastern Palace is just a pendant dungeon anyways. The only downside of doing Palace of Darkness right away is that generally this dungeon is a little bit nicer to route if you have the mirror on hand, but you can, of course, set up some death warps instead of using the mirror, so probably not that big of a deal. Right, so Cinder is going to... Ooh, Leisure King taking a slightly different routing here. Elects to skip the vanilla big key chest. Interesting. That chest is not guaranteed to be a key for a key. But we'll see if Leisure King has to go back for it. Alright, Cinder... Oh, interesting. Cinder elects to go north. So not going to use that hammer. Is this a check of Catfish? Okay, so Cinder being a little bit more thorough. I wonder if after Catfish they are going to go and hookshot over. Of course, that was kind of the original plan after beating Aga, but, you know, with the hammer, they don't really need to do that anymore. Right, Leisure King finds a small key there, and another small key, which means we don't know what's in the vanilla big key chest yet. It's possible I might just not have caught it on Leisure King's side, but I do believe they skipped it, because they checked Urina Bridge chest, and then they skipped it. Okay, they're going back and doing it now, okay. So they're gonna have to do just a little bit more, you know, backtracking after this. Ooh, misses that bomb, unfortunately. Right, so Cinder not finding anything at Catfish. And is gonna dash back, so this means they're gonna be hookshotting over, so this is quite a big route divergence. So Cinder's gonna be missing their mitts for quite some time. I will say, at the end of the day, this is probably not that bad for Cinder. You know, they're gonna route through Skull Woods. I'm assuming they're gonna route through Skull Woods and Thieves Town, and then they're gonna get to Hype Cave after that, and then they're gonna get their mitts. So at the end of the day, you know, and then they might go to Pod after that. So at the end of the day, these runners are probably going to basically be in the same situation, but I kind of like Leisure King's route through this a little bit better. They have a little bit more flexibility as well, because, you know, they are going to be able to, for example, pick up the Smith on the way after Village of Outcast and Thieves Town if they want to, so... Alright, but Cinder, the question is, do they feel confident in clearing Skull Woods right now? It looks like the answer is no, so they're going to do Village of Outcast and Thieves Town first. We'll see if they go ahead and go up to Skull Woods after that, as that is a required crystal dungeon. And we do have the equipment theoretically needed to clear it. It looks like Leisure King picked up the Quake Medallion in Palace of Darkness, so if that is the medallion requirement for Turtle Rock, we could have a full clearable Turtle Rock. Meanwhile, Cinder scores the mirror out of Chess Game. Very interesting. So that is going to let them get a check of K45, as well as Bombos Tablet, right? They won't be able to get the item on a Bombos Tablet, but they will be able to scout it if they so desire. I actually really like how this is going to work out for Leisure King, as you know, we were talking about doing Smith Chain after Village Outcast Thieves Town earlier, and Leisure King is going to have that opportunity, as they will have both the Mitts and the Mirror. Although they sure wish they had the Mirror right now, so that they didn't have to do that lengthy Death Warp. Although I do wonder if they will elect to do Smith Chain, because at that point, they might just elect to go up the mountain instead. Interesting routing by Cinder, using the Mirror to go back to the front of the dungeon. I've never seen that before. Alright, Leisure King is going to make their way to the back of the dungeon, making good use of that Cane of Samaria to avoid having to push that statue. That is, of course, going to save them a lot of time. Not something that's possible in the vanilla game, but of course this is randomizer, so a lot of interesting little strats that were never possible in the vanilla game become possible now. Cinder taking quite a few bonks in that room. I imagine they're not going to have any trouble with the rest of this dungeon. They do have both the Cane of Berna and Magic Cape if they want to use those items for the boss fight against Blind here. Ooh, and sets up a very nice key dash. Oh, was set up for that key dash, but aborts it at the last second. Maybe they just weren't super confident in it. Okay, Leisure King gonna try and take care of all these turtles. Looks like turtles are in the good prize pack here. If you're enjoying this randomizer gameplay so far, highly encourage you to give both of these runners a follow on Twitch. I will have links to their Twitch channels in the description of this video. And I hope you're enjoying this coverage of this race so far. Alright, Cinder has to be a little bit careful. Only has 2.5 hearts here, and these still on green mail, so these enemies up here in the attic will do 2 hearts of damage. Meanwhile, Leisure King does take down phase 1 of Helmasaur, is going to try and use the bow to finish phase 2, but gets pinned to the wall, unfortunately. Helmasaur really not being nice. Okay, but does stand in place there and allows Leisure King to easily finish off the fight. It looks like Cinder back up to 3.5 hearts, so should be okay as long as they make it to the basement. And Leisure King finds the Ether Medallion. Alright, that's a 2/3 chance now that we have a full clearable Turtle Rock. So I am definitely eyeing that with a lot of suspicion here. So I wonder if Leisure King even takes a shot at just wrecking up the mountain immediately. It's between that and doing, you know, Skullwoods plus Thieves Town, like Cinder is probably going to do. But they choose the mountain. I like this. Of course, they're not going to have their mirror, though. They don't know that the mirror is hanging out in Chess Game. So they're not going to be able to check Mimic Cave here. If they're able to go into Turtle Rock. That could be, hopefully that doesn't bite them in the butt here. Alright, Cinder having to take a little bit more time through these rooms as they were pretty low on health, but gets rewarded with the blue mail. I bet that's a welcome sight for them. Alright, checking to make sure that they do need to indeed check this chest, and it looks like they do. Alright, Leisure King going to do Tower of Hera as well as Ether Tablet here first, which makes a lot of sense. You know, they don't have the Magic Mirror, so you're gonna do this dungeon, these checks, you want to do it here. Meanwhile, Cinder is going to make their way to the blind fight. They don't have full magic, but they do have enough to make this fight relatively comfortable. See how they do. Usually the strategy here will be to, you know, do the first 1 or 2 phases on script and then use the, you know, Cane of Berna as needed to finish out the fight. Well, it gets hit there, so already off script on phase 2, but has, you know, has plenty of magic to finish this off. Turns it off during the kind of intermission save magic, and then uses it for the rest of the fight. Ooh, just runs out of magic there, but manages it just fine. In the meantime, Leisure King using a Hera pot glitch to skip most of the Tower of Hera dungeon. And Cinder catches up to Leisure King in terms of crystal count at the 43-minute mark. And it looks like, oh no, Leisure King did find one item on the ground floor, so it's a 50% chance that there will be an item in the basement, it looks like. Right, and Cinder is going to not do Dig Game here, and instead going to go up to Skull Woods. I wonder if they're planning on, from Skull Woods, just, you know, dashing south and finishing out the rest of the Dark World checks. Oh, unfortunately, Leisure King takes a fall on Moldorm. Gonna have to try the fight again. Cinder electing to do Skull Woods front to back. Oh, it leaves. Did they not find a small key there? Usually, if you find a small key there, you do proceed left. I wonder what their... Did I just see things wrong, or I wonder what their routing strategy is here? Interesting. So they found a small key, but then elected to leave. I was about to say, in terms of routing Skull Woods, it really depends on what you're planning on doing after Skull Woods. You know, the optimal way would be to just rush Mothula in the back, right from the get-go, if you're planning on walking out of the front of Skull Woods afterward. As that way, you know, you potentially have an item already off the bat from Mothula, you know Mothula is required anyways, and then you might have a big key from the back as well. And if you're going to walk out of the front side anyways, you're not losing any time on backtracking to the front. Right, nothing on either tablet. But, you know, just because that is the quote-unquote optimal thing to do doesn't mean it's the right thing to do for these runners. You know, Cinder might have been looking for another sword, or, you know, potentially half magic to help with the Mothula fight, as doing Mothula with just a fighter sword is not really the easiest thing in the world. Right, so Leisure King going to head to the Turtle Rock portal. And we'll see if Turtle Rock is openable. There is a 66% chance. Leisure King already getting the medallion out, and it is Quake. So gonna be able to open that. I imagine Leisure King should probably check Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave first here. I mean, if they don't know where the mirror is, of course. We already know that it's not there, but you don't want to be diving into Turtle Rock without the mirror if you can, you know, just find it right here, you know. You'd be orphaning Mimic Cave for no reason. Okay, Cinder making their way through this kind of mummy hellway room. Very nice. Ooh, and not picking up the key from that Gibdo. Oh, they have an extra key. Okay, so actually, no, that doesn't matter. I forgot that they had two keys, not one. Alright, so into this Mothula fight. There's a couple different ways you can choose to handle this. Obviously, hammer hits are going to do the most damage. You only need 4 of those to take down Mothula, and that is... looks like that's what Cinder's trying to go for, but unfortunately Mothula is staying near the top of the room. Alright, plan B is the Fire Rod. It's going to do only half as much damage as the hammer, but of course it's a ranged weapon, so it's a lot easier to hit with. And often the Fire Rod can knock Mothula off of the top of the room. Unfortunately, Moth not being very cooperative today. Cinder finishes that fight with a very nicely placed hammer hit. Good job. Leisure King, electing to stay away from Turtle Rock. Interesting. Huh. I would have thought that if you went up the mountain, you know, you should commit to Turtle Rock there. But maybe the thought was just, I want to get the, you know, quick set of checks, the quick 6 checks that are there, as well as finish Hera, and then I can come back for Turtle Rock later when I'm feeling more confident. I mean, Turtle Rock, you know, it's doable, but if you're not careful, the enemies in there, you know, that is intended to be like the last dungeon in the game that you complete, so the enemies in there do a lot of damage. Cinder doing a ped check and finding just a bottle on ped. So definitely not going to be required today. Meanwhile, Leisure King gonna find that mirror in chess game. So if there is something in Mimic Cave, Leisure King will have dodged a bullet actually by staying out of TR. Alright, looks like Cinder going back into the front of Skull Woods to collect the remaining items here. I didn't see how many there were, but looks like there's at least one. Okay, there's the big key. It probably means that Cinder is gonna have to check the big chest here. And the traditional strategy for doing that is a bomb jump, actually. So we'll see how they fare with that. Okay, you're gonna set it up here. Usually most runners will set this up using a spin slash, yep. Looks good to me. Very nicely done. And it's just 3 bombs. Alright, so from here, Cinder can, has a bunch of different options, actually. They can go east from here and check Bumper Cave, Graveyard Ledge, and King's Tomb. Maybe even turn in this mushroom that I guess they found somewhere along the way. Or they can go south, which is what they're doing, and pick back up with Dig Game... what's it called? Dig Game, Stumpy, and Hype Cave. And of course the myths are at Hype Cave, so that's really, you know, gonna be the thing that Cinder wants to get to the most. Cinder is still missing that Quake Medallion for access to Turtle Rock. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I believe that was in Palace of Darkness, if I remember correctly. Okay, Cinder giving us our check of Cave 45. Just a piece of heart, and Cinder is going to like to take that. Probably not a bad idea. We only have 9 hearts so far on Cinder's side, and they don't know it, but there is going to be a full clearable Turtle Rock available to them before too long. Alright, Leisure King making some nice use of the hookshot. Could actually hookshot to those doors in, you know, Blind Cell. There's a Master Sword on Stumpy. That is definitely going to prove helpful for these runners in the upcoming dungeons. Alright, looks like the mushroom was actually at the big chest in Thieves Town. Alright, Leisure King elected to go the slightly slower route, but I don't really blame them. I really hate that bridge with the two jellies. I feel like I've definitely taken a death there once, actually, just because I was stubborn and tried to dash through those jellies too many times. Alright, Cinder does pick up their mitts from Hype Cave. They're also going to get their bow here, so I wonder if this is going to be a little bit of information overload. Alright, Leisure King into their blind fight. Phase 1 of the blind script looks totally good. Phase 2 looks good as well, so Leisure King going to be able to save a little bit of time over Cinder on this fight. Last hit of Phase 3 didn't go quite so well, but, you know, usually first 2 phases are kind of enough to get the job done. Well, very nice by Leisure King. Alright, looks like Cinder is going to go ahead and go to Palace of Darkness. Now, Leisure King still needs to do Skull Woods, right? So I guess the question here is, do you head down all the way to Stumpy? Or do you just rush up to Skull Woods? How are you going to sequence this, Leisure King? There is a sword waiting for him at Stumpy, so if he does go down that way, it's going to make Skull Woods a little bit easier, but it looks like he is... Okay, going to C-Shape House first. So is he going to go north or south from here? That's the question. You can check all of Smith Chain if he goes south as well. Looks like he's going to north and doing Skullwoods first. So unfortunately not going to have that Master Sword, but he does have more health on hand than Cinder did for that fight, so I imagine they'll probably be fine. Still has actually not picked up that bottle that was on Race Game. I wonder if that's actually on Leisure King's mind. He did see it, right? He did scout the item on Race Game and chose deliberately to leave it behind, I believe. Okay, Cinder is routing through Palace of Darkness. Oh, Leisure King gets caught by the Wallmaster. Unfortunate. Cinder actually taking the same Palace of Darkness route as Leisure King. I don't see this often. Usually when you get small keys in the first two chests, you'll do the left drop down and check the middle big key chest. Wasn't paying attention on Leisure King's side, so I don't actually know what was at the middle big key chest, but I guess we'll see. Alright, Leisure King making it to the back of Skullwoods. Very nice dash up that hallway by Cinder. And is going to find two keys here, so if they're counting their keys correctly, they should know that Vanilla Big Key Chest is not necessarily a small key. It could be anything at this point, as far as Cinder's concerned. Right, Leisure King taking a different approach to this room, using the boomerang to stun the Gibdos, and just using the lamp to light the torches, so that is going to leave them with more magic to use against Mothula. So I kind of wonder if they are planning on making more use of the Fire Rod and using Hammer only if necessary. Okay, so what the big key was Vanilla, actually. So, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe both of our runners would have saved a little bit of time if they had done the Vanilla Big Key chest, you know, right off the get-go, although I guess I haven't timed it. It's more relevant for Leisure King because they didn't have the mirror on their hand. Cinder was able to just grab that item and then mirror right away, so maybe that actually didn't end up, you know, costing them any time. But Leisure King had to, you know, take another walk back, so that probably was slower overall. Alright, Moth not really playing nice on Leisure King's side either. Gonna be trying these hammer hits. Still has 4 hearts, but needs to start being a little bit careful. Okay, 3 hearts. Come on, Leisure King, you got this. Take your time. Oh, Mothula. Oh, Leisure King. Oh, couldn't manage to finish that fight. That's really tragic. I think at this point you have to try again, though. The problem is you're gonna need to find, farm some magic along the way. Hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. They can just use the same strat that they did earlier in that mummy hallway. Oh, unfortunately gets knocked around a little bit in that room. That's not what you want to do if you're planning on refighting Mothula. Ooh, interesting. Setting up the key dash on the left rail there. Usually people set it up against the block in that room. The Leisure King elects to use a different, slightly different strat. Just goes to show you that, you know, every runner has slightly different ways of executing rooms. Okay, Leisure King gonna go ahead and use the same boomerang strat. Ideally, you want to take as little damage as possible. Don't want to get hit by these Gibdos. Okay, Cinder going to mirror out, which I believe means they're probably on their way to the Helmasaur fight. Alright, Leisure King, I think gonna have a little bit less health this time around, unfortunately. Does pick up the heart from that pot, very good idea. Let's see if they can get the job done this time. Alright, starts the fight off with a spin. We'll see if Mothula decides to be a little bit more cooperative, or... Okay, nice. Mothula's definitely being nicer this time. Of course, Mothula invincible pretty much if they are overlapping the spikes, as they did code Mothula to be invulnerable to spike damage, which, you know, is good, otherwise the fight would just kind of complete itself, but it does make the fight awkward if Mothula decides to stay in the spikes, but Mothula behaved a lot better that time, so Leisure King gonna have a much easier time, and does collect their 5th crystal of the game, so 5 out of 7. So from here, we're just looking for the, since Misery Mire is a pendant dungeon, we're just looking for the flippers to be able to complete Swamp Palace. Of course, Cinder doesn't quite know that yet, as they haven't been up the mountain, so they have not been able to confirm what medallion is required for Turtle Rock, but it is Quake, which both of our runners do already have. So it's just a matter of where these flippers are, as that is hard required for Swamp Palace, of course. And that actually means that Ice Palace is completely irrelevant for our runners because, of course, the flippers can't be in Ice Palace as it's logically required to get into Ice. Alright, Cinder onto their Helmasaur fight. Leisure King gonna go ahead and collect the remaining item in the big chest. Alright, swapping to arrows for phase 2 of Helmasaur. Helmasaur behaving a little bit better on Cinder's side, not pinning them to the wall. And Cinder collects their 4th crystal. They're just behind on a Tower of Heraclear as far as crystals go. You know, at this point, I kind of, I was liking Leader King's position here better, but I wonder if Cinder is actually gonna have the advantage here, because I imagine they're gonna want to go up the mountain pretty soon, or if not right away, and they're gonna be fully prepared to, you know, go into Turok. I mean, they're gonna have a sword upgrade. I mean, obviously you'd like to have Tempered Sword, but, you know, they're going to have an extra sword, they're going to have done, you know, the rest of their, you know, fully clearable crystals. So I wonder if it's time for them to, you know, go into Turtle Rock. But they're starting at Sanctuary instead. I wonder if this is an attempt to buy some potions? No, they're going left. Okay. So, I guess this is... Okay, maybe this is actually buying some potions, but doing Bumper Cave and Graveyard Ledge along the way? Or... Uh-oh, Cinder changing their mind. Okay, a little bit of indecision here. Meanwhile, Leader King does go to Graveyard Ledge here. And Cinder... Oh, yes, Cinder hasn't actually been up the mountain at all yet. Okay, so they had to start here. Okay, makes perfect sense. I was getting confused. No, wait, they have. They did check Spec Rock. Huh. Okay, so this is now getting a potion. I wonder if they just got a little bit confused that they had already... Maybe they had forgotten that they had already been up the mountain, and they thought they needed to rescue the old man, but then probably saw on their tracker that they had already done that. Alright, so it looks like they're going to do King's Tomb, and they're preparing to buy a potion, which is not a bad idea, since they're... I assume they're going to be prepared to go and clear Turtle Rock. Both our runners actually going to do a little bit of a high five here. Alright, Cinder having to cross this bridge as they don't have the flippers to swim across that gap. If you know how to, you can actually set up a pretty fast splash delete glitch with the bow and bombs there. So that is going to be a little bit faster, but, you know, I don't expect everyone to know that. Alright, Leisure King in the meantime... Ooh, interesting cape dash there. I wonder if that was actually intentional to get rid of all their magic, as they are going to have the ability to do a fake powder glitch with the mushroom. So after Graveyard Ledge, they did not elect to, you know, mirror to the light world and turn in the mushroom. Instead, they chose to get rid of all their magic. and it's probably going to check Magic Bat along with Smith Chain. So pretty heads-up thinking there. So I like that, and, you know, these Smith Chain checks along with Stumpy are going to be very efficient, so I like that, but I just wonder if Turtle Rock is really going to be the answer here, and that's going to give us our flippers. Ooh, unfortunately, Cinder had Hook Speed active and accidentally brushed on the bottom ledge there, which forced them to climb that long set of stairs again. Alright, so Cinder are going to route this a little bit differently. They do have the Magic Mirror, so they are going to go ahead and elect to do Tower of Hera first. And they are, of course, going to be able to get the item on Aether Tablet, although we already know this is not the answer here. It's not our flippers. I do think there's arguments both ways in terms of routing for Cinder. But I think doing Tower of Hera first... Well, I guess I can see arguments. Yeah, I can see arguments both ways. I think doing Tower of Hera first is good because if you find the flippers here, of course, you're just done. You get to skip all of the overworld checks on the right side of the mountain unless you want to look for a sword or silvers or something. But on the other hand, if you do not find anything here on the mountain, you'll probably want to end with Spike Cave last, and Hera is right next to that. So it's just a matter of what kind of case you want to optimize for, I believe. Alright, Leisure King giving us this out-of-logic Magic Bat check. And it is just a red ruby. Alright. Does look like Leisure King chose to leave behind the item in the basement of Tower of Hera. I certainly don't blame them. There's definitely a lot of other more efficient checks on the table here. We'll see if Cinder elects to do the same thing. I will say that is another argument for putting off Hera and doing kind of everything on the right side of the mountain first, as by that time, you know, you'll have done all of the efficient checks, and instead you will, you know, be a little bit more willing to commit to a slow check like Hera Basement. Alright, Leisure King gonna go ahead and finally grab this bottle on Race Game. In the meantime, Cinder unfortunately gets the Enraged State of Moldorm. Has to be a little bit careful here. I believe this only happened because they got a poke as they were attempting one of their Spin Slashes. Still manages to finish the fight without falling. Very nice. And Leisure King finally going to check Sick Kid, and is probably going to be relieved that this is nothing of note. Alright, so both of our runners in pretty similar positions as far as what has gotten done, but with Leisure King set up to finish out Smith Chain, you know, saving the mirror portal there, and Cinder looks like they should be poised to jump into Turtle Rock, potentially after dipping into Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave, but, you know, if they're feeling confident, they might just elect to go in right away. I mean, if your flippers are there, you can just skip everything else. Alright, some nice use of the hookshot on Leisure King's side. Of course, you cannot dash normally, you know, with this purple chest, as pressing the A button will cause you to drop the chest, but you can use the hookshot to speed up your movement a little bit. Alright, so Cinder going to be checking Super Bunny and Hookshot Cave first. Leisure King needs to be a little bit careful. It's kind of awkward to pick up the purple chest when it's so close to the portal. Very nice idea, actually, there with the bomb. Some excellent game knowledge. Didn't actually end up having to use it, but the idea there is that you can't actually enter a mirror portal while you're in the middle of taking damage from your bomb. So that was some very heads-up thinking there, even though they managed to not need it in the end. They are intentionally dashing away from the purple chest there, making use of what we call the invisible purple chest glitch. So as long as you the first time that you mirror after dropping the purple chest, on the first frame, kind of it pretends it kind of acts as if the purple chest is still there right next to you. So if you mirror just at this spot, you'll still be able to turn it in, even though ostensibly you left it behind. Right, and they're rewarded with the red mail, which is very nice, but unfortunately, the only thing that really matters here is the flippers. Right, so Cinder is going to go ahead and be the first one into Turtle Rock here. Of course, this is also going to open up Pyramid Fairy once it's complete, as Turtle Rock is our second red crystal. The other red crystal, of course, being Thieves Town. I really like how Cinder is set up to route this, actually. You know, of course, they haven't done Smith Chain yet, but once they do Smith Chain, they can route it very naturally into the Pyramid Fairy checks. So they'll be able to do all of that in kind of one continuous loop. In the meantime, Leisure King is going to dash over here. This is... where are they going? Ooh, this is a fake flipper. Okay. Okay. Oh, this is... okay. So they're actually choosing to use this Whirlpool to go turn in their Mushroom. Okay. Yeah, this makes sense. I mean, even if you were to save and quit Sanctuary, you don't have flippers to easily, you know, get over the gap. Right, so Cinder are gonna give us our... gonna continue on in Turtle Rock. So far, nothing of note. Of course, the only thing we're looking for is those flippers, but, you know, if we get our flute along the way, that'll give us access to the Misery Mire area. Okay, Leisure King... gonna refill on magic and probably want to buy a blue potion there. I believe Cinder probably wasn't paying attention, but I believe I imagine they probably picked up a blue potion at the potion shop as well. Definitely something you want to have against Trinex. You know, Trinex, a fight that is relatively straightforward with Tempered Sword, but with Master Sword, unfortunately becomes a lot more tricky, and of course if you run out of magic during the Trinex fight, that's a soft lock. Like, you have to just try the fight again. There's no way to recover any magic in that room. So since we know that Smith Chain is nothing, if the flippers are here in TR, Cinder is off to a pretty good-sized lead here. But if they're not, then things become a lot more close, because I guess after this, Cinder is probably going to go and do Smith Chain into Pyramid Fairy. I mean, that would make the most sense. That's their, you know, biggest check chain remaining after this. And Leisure King has already done the rest of Smith Chain. So I think if the flippers are not here, that would really equalize things. Okay, Cinder, nice, very nice knowing that there's a small magic in that pot there. You definitely don't want to run out of magic in this dungeon. You do need some for laying some Mario blocks later on. Alright, Leisure King into the front of Turtle Rock, and Cinder is going to give us the Mimic Cave check. Of course, we mentioned earlier, Leisure King did have the opportunity to go into Turtle Rock a lot earlier, but elected to stay away, and I wonder if Mimic Cave was one of the concerns there, as they did not have the mirror at the time. Could have also just been that they didn't want to... It was the flippers, so Leisure King definitely dodged a bullet there. Unfortunately, Cinder is still going to be the first one to get those flippers, so Cinder is officially in go mode at 1 hour and 12 minutes and 12 and a half minutes. So they just need to finish Turtle Rock and then head to Swamp Palace, which they can go mode, and then they'll have access to Ganon's Tower. Of course, you know, they might be choosing to open some more chests along the way, as right now they're looking at a Master Sword Silverless Ganon fight, which is probably the hardest thing you can ask for at the end of the game, but we'll see. Yeah, so Leisure King actually was right to stay out of Turtle Rock earlier. just a little bit unfortunate that they only got back here after, you know, completing those other strings of overworld checks. You know, they spent all that time on Smith Chain, which, you know, got the red mail, which is nice, but is one of the main reasons they're actually behind right now. You'll see that Leisure King's tracker is definitely, you know, a lot more cleared up, but Cinder is just ahead now, having skipped some of those checks and not having to have made 2 separate trips up to the mountain. Alright, so Cinder is going to have to do some of these laser bridge checks here. A small key is required to proceed to Trinex. Looks like they are going to probably... Okay, they're going to start from the bottom. So starting from the bottom actually does make sense. Maybe they just knew the key was there. Starting from the bottom makes sense because if you get knocked off, you can easily use the invincibility frames to get some of the top chests. So they're going to elect to check all of these. Unfortunately, both the mapping compasses are hanging out there. But not a bad idea since you already had to check, you know, check that anyways, and you never know, your Tempered Sword or Silver could be hanging out there. I'm having a little bit of trouble with this room here, with the Crystal Switch. Okay, that lines up for this Samaria block strat. So laying that Samaria block there will trigger both of those crystal switches, which is one of the best ways to get through that room. Alright, and Cinder gonna have to be a little bit careful here. Remember, they did not elect to step out of the dungeon, so their last kind of checkpoint is at Mimic Cave. So if they don't perform this fight successfully, they will have to be restarted all the way there. This is the 3rd hammer hit there. Hopefully they can still get... Oh, they missed the hammer hit there too, so they're gonna have to use 1 extra Ice Rod shot here. Does land it. Oh, but doesn't use the hammer there. Oh, this fight is not off to a good start. It's a really good thing that they have the blue potion, especially since they just got hit. Okay, is gonna prepare to chug their potion. Okay, so they have 8 Fire Rod shots for this. Unfortunately, there's a patch of ice that's kind of making this a little bit awkward, but hopefully he manages to finish out this fight okay. Misses 1 there, misses another one there, misses the 3rd and a 4th! Cinder, take your time on these shots here. Okay, manages to finish the head. That was a little bit scary. Okay, setting up for a spin slash here. They should be fine. They've got plenty of health for phase 2. The main thing was just getting through phase 1 without running out of magic, and they were about to run out of magic if they had missed another shot there. Interesting bond strat by Leisure King. Very nice. Alright, and Cinder does finish out the Trinex fight successfully. Probably breathing a big sigh of relief there. Alright, and now all Cinder needs to do is go mode through Swamp Palace. Alright, Leisure King picking up the full magic there. Definitely wants to have all of that magic for Laser Bridge. And Cinder... You gotta just go to Swamp Palace at this point, right? You can't be thinking about checking Spike Cave. Cinder? Uh-oh, I wonder if something came up for them. Or is their stream frozen? No, their timer's still going. Okay, I'm gonna assume something may have come up for Cinder in real life to pause their gameplay for a moment. Alright, Leisure King continuing on their laser bridge checks, and yeah, you might as well use the cape here for this last chest because you're gonna get a full magic refill right before Trinex anyways. Alright, Cinder's back. Correctly remembering to mirror before saving and quitting, as actually not. Yeah, I was gonna say if you mirror before saving and quitting, you'll get to start at Link's house, but starting at the pyramid is probably just as good to get Swamp Palace. But they are gonna go check Spike Cave. Okay, I wouldn't have expected this. You're in go mode, Cinder. Especially considering that if you really wanted to check Spike Cave, you could just do it right before GT, right? And just mirror afterward? I guess that is kind of slow. Right, Leisure King into their Trinex fight. The head moves a little bit. They also miss the third hammer hit there. Okay, but does hit the second Ice Rod shot. Okay, they're gonna have to spend an extra Ice Rod. Oh, spends another one. Okay, they do have a blue potion still, so they should be okay. As long as they manage their Fire Rod shots carefully. Okay, choosing to use the slash there. Oh, misses one. Okay, drinks the blue potion. Definitely don't want to die here. Okay, be a little bit careful with your ammo here. But looks like they're okay. Okay, finishing it off with the hammer. Nicely done. They're out of the danger zone. Okay, Cinder. Yeah, not finding anything in the Spike Cave. I mean, there's a pretty low chance that one chest is going to have, you know, silvers or tempered, right? That is going to afford a little bit of time for Leisure King to catch up, but there's still... Leisure King, of course, is still, you know, firmly behind in this race. Oh, actually, they found half magic in Spike Cave, it looks like? Okay. Wasn't paying attention. Alright, so they didn't find silvers or tempered sword, but half magic is kind of the next best thing, actually. Will allow you to be more aggressive with, you know, using the magic cape against Ganon, especially if you buy another potion beforehand. But Leisure King, gonna say no to that and just gonna go straight to Swamp Palace, so gonna be able to make up some ground here. Leisure King... Yeah, I'm not sure. Is it faster to mirror and then save and quit to Link's house and then take the portal again, or is it faster to start from the pyramid? Then there's this interesting situation. I don't actually know the timings for getting to Swamp Palace. I imagine it's probably... I can't tell either way. Alright, Cinder is not gonna go mode this dungeon, so still looks like they still definitely want either Tempered Sword or Silver Arrows. So at this point you kind of have to strike a balance between, you know, you want to... If you want that Tempered or Silvers, you kind of want to check chests that are not too far out of the way, but, you know, the more time you spend on these chests, you know, the more time your opponent is going to have to potentially catch up. So it's a tricky balance. But of course, if you do end up finding, you know, Tempered or Silvers and your opponent doesn't and skips it, that could potentially be, you know, a big way for you to pull ahead. Okay, but they are going to skip the compass chest in the, you know, U-shaped room below, deciding that that one is going to take too much time. It's really going to just be down to execution from this point on. Okay, and these two chests are pretty free to pick up, you know, they're kind of directly on your path, so makes a lot of sense to open those. Leisure King is going to skip that bombable wall, so again, making up a few seconds here and there. You know, Leisure King doesn't know it, but they're going to need every time save they can get if they want to pull it, if they want to, you know, even up this race. Okay, Cinder making their way to the fight with Argus. Of course, we'd really like to have Tempered Sword for the Argus fight, but Master Sword does do okay. The optimal strategy is to hook 2 puffs at a time and spin them both, but that can be a little bit tricky to execute. It's like Cinder is going to go ahead and go for that, but doesn't quite manage it. Easier strat, of course, is to just pull puffs and then slash each of them twice, but that's a little bit slower. Okay, nice. Cinder gets a few of them there. Yeah, that can definitely happen. You can accidentally hook the same puff twice. Okay, but does get a nice double there. It gets harder and harder as there's fewer puffs remaining, so at that point you probably want to just switch to singles. Yeah, the timing can definitely be a little bit tricky. Okay, that's phase 1 down. Phase 2 is going to take 4 Fire Rod shots, or, you know, 3 Fire Rod shots and a spin. Or just doing all spins works too, yeah. A little bit slower, but, you know, it can be hard to time all the Fire Rod shots. Like, Leisure King is just gonna go for single spins. Okay, changing to slashes. I want to say doing 2 slashes is probably faster than charging a spin, right? But this way it's also nice as you get to just buffer your spin slash immediately after, using the hook shot. So that can be nice too. Unfortunately, it gets kind of hugged by Argus there. Alright, Cinder... Ooh, Cinder actually not gonna go up to GT. Where are they? Oh, they are. Okay. I was gonna say, are they going to Pyramid Fairy? But no, they're going to GT. Leisure King attempting to use the Ice Rod there, but can't get the timing right. So not really saving time on phase 2 there. I'm gonna have to wait for all their magic to refill after the crystal cutscene. Oh, but both runners getting Tempered Sword off of Argus. Okay, nice. I imagine both runners have to be feeling pretty good about that, fully prepared to take down the rest of the game. Of course, you still have silver arrows, but at this, at this level, I know these are mentees, but I think at the Tempered Sword bracket level, you have to know how to beat Ganon without silvers for sure. It's definitely one of the most impactful glitches, not glitches, but one of the most impactful tricks to know in the game. As it does prevent you from having to search the world for the silver arrows. Okay, Cinder electing to go the Super Bunny route to Ganon's Tower. We'll see if Leisure King decides to do the same, or whether they elect to take the Turtle Rock portal. Looks like they're going to take the Turtle Rock portal. This is slightly faster, if done ideally. But it is slower if you manage to get blocked by the Dead Rocks on the way. So hopefully that doesn't happen for Leisure King. These little rascals right here. Ooh, and nice being able to catch a fairy in their bottle. Yeah, Alexa, just take it safe. If you tried to dash through both of those Dead Rocks, there's no way that's going to work out, I think. Okay, Cinder is into GT at the 1 hour and 25 minute mark. Looks like they entered at about the 40-second mark there, so Leisure King gonna be maybe 30 or 45 seconds behind. Cinder's gonna go left. GT routing could definitely be a big factor here. If Leisure King goes right first, and the big key is in Hope Room, that'll essentially flip-flop this entire race. Okay, there's more health. Neither runner electing to pick up... Ooh, both of our runners actually synced going to the right side. It would be really funny if the big key was here in Hope Room. So Cinder taking a different route. Finds the silver arrows in Hope Room. Nice. That is going to continue to right side, so it's just a matter of if big key is in Compass Room, then Cinder's ahead. If not, then Leisure King's ahead. Oh man. And based on the odds, it's more likely to not be in Compass Room. So even though Cinder was ahead, odds are that Leisure King is actually going to be in the lead after this Ganon's Tower Big Key hunt. But we'll see. One of the advantages of Cinder's route is that it is kind of a route that doesn't really lose very hard to any other route. They are going to be able to get back to the left side, even if the big key is, without any problems, even if the big key is not here. They're not going to be that far behind. Okay, Anna's not here, so that means... Yeah, Leisure King is going to be the first one to the big key. Assuming it's not in Tile Room, which... I hope, dear God, it's not. Ooh, unfortunately, Leisure King takes a fall there. That's really awkward. Okay, so Cinder gonna have to do this room again, but of course has already done the Stalfos room, so it just gets the hook shot downward here. So you can see Cinder is already only a single room behind Leisure King. This is really close here. It's really just going to come down to Ganon's Tower Execution. Alright, Cinder using the blue boomerang here. I believe Leisure King did a Samaria strat. Okay, nice hook shot. And Leisure King bonks over the Fire Snake. Very nice. Ooh, gets hit by that one though. Cinder not managing the iframes in that room quite successfully, but uses the magic cape. Love to see it. Oh, doesn't get the fast strat though. There's a really slick strat that you can do for that room with magic cape if you are really on point with your cape usage. And Leisure King does find the big key. We'll open the rest of the chest here. The flute is hanging out next to it. That's really interesting. Okay, I assume they were just looking for, you know, either half magic or another sword just to make things a little bit easier. But they are off and starting on their climb. Cinder gonna go ahead and check all 4 of these chests as well. Alright, Leisure King choosing to play it a little bit safe in this room. Only takes 2 hearts of damage instead of the normal 3 that you take. Okay, Cinder gonna do the same thing, only gonna take 2 hearts of damage there. And of course, Silver Arrows are gonna make these Mimics room a little bit easier. Oh, Cinder's lineup, not perfect, but makes it work. Okay, the room difference has increased to 2 rooms behind that Cinder is right now. And we'll see what happens for the rest of this climb. Very nicely executed spike room by Leisure King. Clean dash. Looks like Cinder is maybe going to elect to use the magic cape instead. Yep. Okay. And switches back to the magic cape, which is the fastest way through the cannonball room. Very nice. Okay, meanwhile, Leisure King is into the gauntlet rooms. Who has a little bit of trouble with that last stealth post, but cleans it up okay. Cinder with a very nice gauntlet one. Both of our runners looking pretty okay on resources, but Leisure King's gotta be a little bit careful, only has 3 hearts, but does have a fairy that they bottled earlier. That room didn't go so well. You can see that Cinder's already caught up just based on that room alone. Oh, but this Beamos room isn't treating Cinder that well either. Okay, very nice. And they're even. That menu, those 2 menus to grab that heart, evened it up. I don't blame Leisure King though, he was only on, you know, he only has 2 hearts. Okay, both runners are gonna try and go for Silver Arrow shots on these Landmos. And Cinder misses all 3, oh no! Okay, Leisure King gets 1, gets 2, and gets the 3rd one! It's back to Leisure King in the lead. Cinder's having trouble cleaning up this fight. But Leisure King has to be a little bit careful, they're only on 3 hearts. Okay. Come on, Cinder, you got this. Okay. That could have been another cycle if that arrow had not hit. Ooh, very nice Wizrobes room by Leisure King. Both of our runners in low health territory right now. Leisure King with 3 hearts, Cinder with only 4 hearts. Chooses to play it a little bit safe on that first Wizrobes room. Alright, Leisure King chooses to do a fall strat in that Torches room, even though they're only on 3 hearts. Okay. Okay, Cinder gets a heart drop from those Wizrobes. And Leisure King, yeah, gonna go ahead. Oh, doesn't pick up the heart from that left pot? Okay, I'm surprised by that. Okay, but assuming Leisure King doesn't take death here, they should be still, you know, a few rooms ahead. Ooh, narrowly avoids those spikes. What Leisure King wouldn't give for the magic powder right now. You know, if they really wanted to, they could have tried to burn all their magic and then used a fake powder glitch to use the powder there, but I don't know if that would be worth it, given the time differential here. Okay, Leisure King gonna find the gold sword in the very last chest. I bet they're really happy to see that. Especially since they're looking at a pretty dangerous Ganon fight. Cinder electing to open the chest and... Oh, did they not pick up the key from Mini Helma? Oh no, they forgot that they needed this key. That is a big slip-up. We're gonna have to go back for that key. Oh. That can't feel good. I wonder if that made the difference here. I mean, Leisure King was ahead, but Leisure King only on 1 heart. They do have a fairy, but, you know, the cutscene for using fairies is not short by any means. It could give Cinder enough time to catch up here. It's all down to whether Leisure King can execute this Ganon fight. Cinder opens the chest and finds the gold sword as well! In theory, you know, optimally that does not save you any time if you can do a 1 cycle with the Tempered Sword, but it does make it very consistent to get a 1 cycle for Ganon Phase 1 and 2, so I'm sure both of these runners are very happy to have that. Okay, so Leisure King enters the Ganon fight at about the 32-second mark. Cinder, meanwhile, dealing with Aga 2. Will Leisure King be able to clutch it out? Their health alarm is probably beeping for them right now. Okay, looks like they didn't get out of those fire bats in time. They should still be ahead, assuming nothing happens. They have to make it through this Ganon fight without falling, otherwise Cinder will take this. Oh, they didn't get the 1 cycle on Phase 2. It was just 6 slashes that they needed, and they even had some magic for the cape. Uh-oh. Come on, Leisure King. Okay, only at 3 hearts. But hopefully they have this. They do have silvers. Wait, Cinder's gonna go ahead and grab a fairy. I mean, I don't blame them. You definitely don't want to die on Ganon, but as we know, watching this, they can't afford that time right now. Alright, Leisure King very narrowly dodges that fire bat. Oh my gosh. Looks like they were setting up for the torch glitch, but misses it. This has to be feeling really tense for them. Okay, gets a single shot there. Could have gone for a double, but I'll choose to play it safe. If they take a death here, that opens the door wide open for Cinder to win. Just play it safe, Leisure King. Cinder showing a lot more confidence with this fight. Probably due to the fact that they picked up that fairy. And Leisure King takes a death! No! They were so close! Oh no. Well, Cinder is not really out of the woods either. Oh, they take another fight. No, no, they're only at half health. Half a heart. Oh, this is really stressful. Leisure King going into... Oh, they need more magic. So they're going in here to grab the magic from the pots. Okay, that's some really heads-up thinking. Unfortunately, it's a little slow. But it's kind of their only shot. Cinder nails the torch glitch. But can they manage to finish the fight? Okay, there's 1 silver arrow. Leisure King gonna go ahead and also bottle a fairy here. Oh no, it's the other tree! Leisure King! Okay, nice double by Cinder. Only needs 1 more shot here. It should be it. That should do it. And finishing the Ganon fight with a half heart remaining. Clutching it out. Both runners in some very perilous situations, but today Cinder was able to clutch that out. Alright, Leisure King entering their Ganon refight. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to use the cape as much here, as they have got less than half a magic bar. should be able to one-cycle phase 2. It's only 6 hits, actually, so all this is just extra credit. Do have Fairy on hand as well, so even though they're at 2 hearts, should be okay. Okay, that's the first hit of phase 3. Cinder finishing with a time of 138 and some change. Okay, and Leisure King on to phase 4, gets the first silver hit before the torch even goes out. Very nice. Gets torch glitch as well. Oh, just misses that slash. Ooh, almost gave Ganon time to fire a Fire Bat there. Oh, could have gone for a double there as well. But just chooses to stick it out simply with single silver hits, and this should be the last one. Leisure King finishes less than a minute behind Cinder. Very close race there. So GG's to both of these runners. This is, again, the first game in a best-of-3 series, so if you are interested in watching the other games, I'd recommend that you check that out. You can go to the Go Mode Podcast Discord server for links for the racing schedule and the past streams of these 2 runners' races. I believe Game 2 has already been run. I will not spoil the results here. If you want to watch that, you can go ahead and we'll see if a Game 3 ends up being scheduled as well, depending on the results. But Cinder is going to take Game 1, going up 1-0 in this series. Again, if you enjoyed watching this race, hopefully there will be a little bit more coming. I am not going to be able to commentate all of the bracket matches as there are quite a number of races going on, but I am going to try and pick out a good handful of them to rebroadcast just to highlight some of the skill and work that these mentees have been putting into Link to the Past randomizer over the past 2 months. And like I said before, go ahead and give these 2 runners a follow on their Twitch streams if you so desire. And if not, that is going to do it for this cast. Again, my name is DDR Kirby, and I hope you enjoyed listening to this commentary. That is going to do it, and see you next time.